So heart people live different lives to head people. And even the head is in basically two parts in terms of the way it processes information. You've got the left side of the brain, which is dominated by perceiving everything to be apart from everything else. If you are researching world events, etc., which actually connect, and you only do it through the left side of the brain, you'll never get it. Because the left side of the brain keeps producing a perception of everything apart from everything else. So events become random and unconnected and in and of themselves. Whereas the right side of the brain is much more connected to the intuition of the heart and is much more adept at connecting dots and seeing the unity that the left side of the brain can't see. And the idea through the connections between the two hemispheres is that we are whole brain people. And thus we have all these perspectives and we form a whole from that in terms of the way we see things. What opens the right side of the brain? The side of the brain that can see connections, that perceives reality in a much more expanded way, where imagination exists. Well, how about play? Anyone remember that when kids played, when they were allowed to play and climb trees, dress up and play games where they imagined themselves to be someone else doing something? What play does, especially ad-lib play, where kids are just making it up and using their imagination, it's opening the right side of the brain. What does music and the arts do? It's about creativity, it's about imagination. It opens up the right side of the brain. Worst nightmare for the system, it wants people here. Boom, boom, boom. And the antidote to this is to open this and to start letting this be the arbiter of perception, connecting with that level that knows. And because of its connection to the right side of the brain, it also, as this information, this intuitive knowing communicates with the brain, it's also opening the right side of the brain. Now, there's an organization in California called the Institute of Heart Math. I've been looking at their information for a long time. And what they do is study the influence of the heart, I'm talking about the energetic heart, on human behavior and human health, human psychology. And they've come up with some very interesting findings, which put into perspective the true nature of the heart. And you realize that this is merely learned intelligence, often what passes for it, that comes from the information that the brain receives from its environment. While this is innate intelligence that doesn't learn, it knows because it's connected to that level that does know. So here's a few points that the Institute of Heart Math has found in its research. Heart rhythms affect the brain's ability to process information. If the heart is not in balance, what they call coherence with the brain, then the brain starts to malfunction because of the heart's influence on the workings of the brain. And this cabal that I talk about, that's behind world events and behind the manipulation of human perception, knows how this process works. And therefore, it's targeted the heart all along. It wants the heart closed down, this heart vortex, so it does not impact on human perception, because human perception will be way different if the heart is open and influencing the brain than if it's closed and the brain is governor of perception, an arbiter of reality.
Of course, possession is an ancient, as long as history, theme right up to the present day. Now, talk to a lot of visual psychics around the world. I mean, I've been on this road nearly a quarter of a century. I've had a chance to talk to a few. And they often tell me about seeing ethereal type entities, often reptilian in form, locking into these lower two chakra points and kind of floating around. This is part of the way that they possess. And then I'm reading an article about this visual psychic, Swiss bloke, who seems to be, very renowned at what he does. And he wasn't talking about any of this stuff. He was just talking about his life and what he experienced and things that he's experienced. And in the middle of this article, he said this, a guy called Anton Steiger. When I see people in business or politics who are particularly trapped by the material world, five senses, for example, I notice that they no longer have any light bodies at all. In many of these people, the point of light at the heart chakra, which is otherwise always present, is no longer visible to me. What do we call these people like bankers? They are heartless. Literally true on an energetic level. Instead, I see something like a layer of shiny tar around them, in which a monstrous being in the shape of a lizard can be distinguished. When such people speak on television, for example, I see a crocodile shape manifesting itself around the person like in a concave mirror. I don't see the light of their throat or forehead chakra. This is the possession, this is the mind parasite nature of these entities that the Gnostics talked about. Now, lots of people send me stuff from around the world because what I talk about. And I got sent this. I'm not saying that this is real, it might be a trick of the light, but it does give a visual feel for the way so many of these people have been described to me. With the eyes changing from a human pupil to a reptilian pupil, and then going back again. I've heard that, I've seen, people have given me endless accounts of full body shifts, shifts of the upper body, and more than anything, shifts of the eyes. The eyes are the window on the soul, or the window to the self beyond the world that we see. And interestingly, I've got a friend who has an associate who was doing research into, I don't agree with it, but he's doing research into iris scanning technology. And this led to him looking through a microscope into, I think it was 2,300 eyes or pairs of eyes. And what he said, he had no idea that my friend was associated with me, probably had no idea I exist. But what he said to my friend was this, of the 2,300 eyes that he scanned, around 4% appeared to be of reptilian type and appearance, and he could not understand what the hell that was all about. And if someone said, what is the percentage of the human population? I'd say 4 or 5%. That is what I'm talking about. That's how few it takes to manipulate the world if you get hold of the institutions that dictate the world.